let's talk about our energy bills. Let's face it, we spend quite a lot of time talking about our bills these days, given how much we've seen inflation go up over recent years. And even though the energy bills went sky high and then came down a bit, they're still, well, at least double what they were a few years ago. But why are they still so sky high? Well, according to Ed Miliband, the "we're going to make you all poor and plunge you back into pre-industrial ages" Secretary Ed Miliband, he seems to think that it's got nothing to do with him, Gov, and it's because we rely on wholesale gas prices. But then why are we paying so much more than every other country that also relies on international wholesale gas prices? Well, I think Andy Mayer, my next guest, may have the answer. He's an energy analyst at the Institute of Economic Affairs, the free market think tank. Good morning to you, Andy.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, Ed Miliband was off doing the rounds and the TV studios yesterday morning, looking, I've got to be honest with you, more religiously psychotic than he has done. It's getting worse every single time I see him on television. But he was absolutely adamant that in no way is the fact that our energy price is going up so much and that we've got all these renewables and all these extra costs that are added onto our energy prices. In no way is that anything to do with why our energy prices are so sky high, despite the fact that Labour manifesto last year said categorically they would cut our energy bills by £300, and they've actually gone up rather than down.
Yes. So poor old Ed is stuck in 2022 when the price of gas was extremely high because of the start of the Ukraine conflict. And a lot of Ed's friends in the renewable industry got very excited and said that, well, it's now clear that gas is 9 times more expensive than renewables, which was a bit of dodgy accounting at the time and is completely untrue today, where although gas is not as cheap as it used to be, it's not the main driver of costs. And the really exciting thing that happened last week was there was a sudden outbreak of truth-telling by the various energy supply companies that far too often in the last 20 years have been sitting there just agreeing with whatever the government said. And now they say, well, actually, Ed, no, it's your policy costs, mate. Those are the things that are driving energy prices. And this was
at a select committee hearing where they were asked, you know, well, why are prices so high? And they said the quiet bit out loud.
Yeah, and the really important comment they made was that even if the price of gas fell to zero, our costs would still rise, our bills would still rise. And that has to be due to policy costs. And principally, it's due to things like expanding the national grid to have a more distributed renewable energy system. It's due to the subsidies that the energy generators in the renewable sector are demanding because they're scared a future government might take them away. It's due to the cost inflation they've experienced with their own supply chains, because when everybody in the world tries to do renewables at the same time, as you can imagine, the capacity doesn't keep up. So it's just not very wise to keep pushing on this clean power plan to 2030 when the cost is so high.
He is absolutely, he is proper Greta Thunberg style zealot on this, absolutely determined. And he constantly goes on, one of the things he always goes on about is about how, you know, instead of being reliant on tyrannical, despotic states for our gas and our oil, it's like, we get most of our gas and oil from America and from Norway. We don't get it from Putin or you know, even the Saudis anymore.
Whereas we get our solar panels from China, almost 90% of them, which is quite a considerable risk when we consider all the other things in the news at the moment.
And if he's got a problem with despots, maybe worry about Xi Jinping of China.
Well, quite. I mean, his heart is in the right place. He wants to save the world from climate change.
No, he's not. His heart. No, I don't even accept that. This is the idea: the people who are trying to impoverish us, when they and we are, you know, we are means to an end. That they're nice people. The communists thought they were nice people too. Frankly, so did the Nazis. Genuinely, they thought they were doing the right thing. No, he's not a good person. He's not doing it. This is an anti-capitalist move. Anti-capitalism is, by definition, going to plunge us into poverty. Making people poorer isn't a nice thing.
Yeah, so obviously we'd share the view on the anti-capitalism. I mean, there's far too much of the Green movement that's rooted in the idea of trying to control people through climate change as an excuse.
Yeah.
But if we get back to brass tacks, he doesn't actually need to do much to rescue the situation. He could reverse his policies on the North Sea, so we've got access to our own resources, the hedge against whatever other plans he has. He should cancel the next round of renewable subsidy bids because they're far too expensive already and they're much higher than the wholesale price of electricity. I believe that he's thinking about removing VAT from energy bills, which would be...
Well, he's not. He doesn't have any say over that. But come on, who are we kidding? Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, needs every penny she can get. She's not going to take VAT off energy bills.
Well, it's been rumoured, and it might not be a bad thing, because that is just a cost of government, and it's one of the advantages of Brexit that you have the ability to do that, because the old 5% rate relates to very odd EU rules at the time. But it will, you'll get some of that back from the increased spending, or you would if you hadn't spent the money already on renewable subsidies. So the bills, you might not even, they might do that. You might not even notice in your bills.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, what is fascinating, he's still making all these claims about how he's going to create 400,000 more jobs by 2030 in the clean energy sector. I mean, this is just pie in the sky stuff.
Well, I first wrote about this in 2018 because it's the Jeremy Corbyn pledge. So it's boring deep from the well of Jeremy's far left agenda. And it's nonsense. I mean, you've got to look at both sides of the balance sheet when you start talking about subsidies being used to drive industry. Now, there are a small number of circumstances where if the government spends money on something, it creates a new industry, and that new industry creates growth and jobs.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about transferring money from one sector to another.
Yeah.
And you can see the damage that he's doing to North Sea jobs with his crazy policies. And you can see the damage he's doing to jobs across the economy through the higher price of energy, through the higher price of everything. So it's nothing new. It's just a very skillful way of trying to spin the politics as though he cares about jobs and everybody who disagrees with him doesn't. Well, it's nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy Mayer, Energy Analyst at the Institute of Economic Affairs, thank you very much indeed for that. Sam Armstrong, I mean, the reality is, I mean, this is all just, I mean, utter madness, but there's the zealotry of Ed Miliband is quite extraordinary. You can see when he's interviewed, he does the thing, he sort of looks up and he just goes into his sort of his spiel. And the number of things he says are just patently, provably untrue. It's quite terrifying.
I do feel a little sorry for the guy sometimes.
Why?
because well, he signed up to this mad scheme, which was always going to fail, but it was just about tenable when the US, China, Brazil, etc. were all going to get on board with it as well. They have changed it, and he's now coming back into office to try and finally do it. He's had the carpet pulled under his feet, and now we're in this mad world in which we've got industrial energy in this country that costs 4 times as much as it does in the United States. They're not bothering to do anything, and he is basically signing a death knell for the Britain's industrial sector altogether.
Yeah, well, but he shouldn't be allowed to. He's a danger to us. I don't understand. He's not a nice guy. He's a religious zealot. And extremist religious folk, whatever their religious views, and his is green, are all dangerous people, in my view. And he's doing more damage to us than pretty much anyone else, if you ask me. I will not have this.